And rolling. Who is Thomas Cooksey?
Thomas Cooksey is a former basketball player, former rapper, former performer, former producer, former videographer, now filmmaker, director, DP.
It's a lot of formers.
It's a lot.
What did you want to do growing up, career-wise?
I wanted to be the starting point guard of the New York Knicks, period.
But you had so many formers. There's nothing else you wanted to do?
Well, after I realized that I wasn't going to be the starting point guard of the New York Knicks, I wanted to be a rapper. I thought I wanted to be a forensic scientist at one point, which is why I went to school and majored in chemistry at first until I failed and realized that chemistry wasn't for me, but that's one of the reasons why I got into film, simply because of CSI was one of my favorite shows, and Forensic Files was one of my favorite shows growing up. But one summer I came home and realized that I didn't like the science of Forensic Files and CSI. What I really liked was the people producing it, making this boring entity exciting and fun.
You started off making comedy skits. What made you start doing those kind of YouTube videos?
Taj. I met Taj. No, was it us first? Was it us first? I didn't prepare.
You said your answer.
I think it was Taj. I met up with Taj after Buffalo State. Like he said, I tried to basically use his talent and combine it with my talent to make something that was really great. So we started doing skits because that's what he was good at. I found out I was naturally funny. And actually, no, I started in high school with skits, with Wobble With It. Wobble With It was the first skit. It doesn't exist anymore, and you will never see it. My high school teacher does have a mini DV of it, but if he shares it, I will kill him. And the reason I got into skits was because that was the only way I could get behind a camera without having to pay for it in college. I joined a very corny production team called BSC TV, and we made a lot of horrible skits that are coming back to me, like The Ghost of Christmas Black and some others. You know, that now that I look back on it, you know, I felt like they made fun of me. But that's how I got into skits. Yeah. Huh.
Why did you decide to step away from comedy skits to do more dramatic films?
I stepped away from comedy and tried to bring the team along, and I'm glad they came along with me, simply because I would produce things that I thought was semi-serious, and people would still laugh at our content like it was comical, and it would make me feel something inside that I didn't enjoy feeling. So from that point forward, I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was one of the projects we made that they laughed at, and I think it was me and Carrie looked at each other like, why are they laughing? And that triggered something inside me to just try to make everything serious, which deterred Taj a little bit because he loves doing comedy sketches. So I told him we'll go back to that this year. So hopefully everybody is happy at some point.
Film has many positions. Why did you decide to be a director and a DP over all other positions?
I started as an editor. Because I was the only one who understood the software in high school. And I edited everything. And that turned into having to shoot everything because I didn't have anybody to shoot. And then that also turned into me doing sound and pretty much everything else. I didn't feel like an editor because when I took an editing internship, it left a bad taste in my mouth because they were a very racist organization that I won't name, but that was the editing And it felt like a lonely title. So you long hours by yourself. And I like talking to people. I like collaborating. I was always team oriented. That's what basketball was. It's where I met pretty much all of my friends except Taj. And I wanted to direct just because I like telling people what to do. That's where it first started. That's just the Aries in me. And DP, I like being able to control the image as well. So both of my positions are positions of control. And if I can control both of them, then I can control the world and take it over. In a nutshell.
Very well said. What is it like being a creative and a CEO, and how do you separate the business from the creative when needed?
It's very difficult being a creative and a CEO. There are a lot of things that you have to take into consideration when you're running a business and being a creative. The goal of running a business is to make money. But the goal of creative is not necessarily to make money, but if it comes, you're happy. And you have to find a way to combine the two, which was very difficult for us in the past, and it still is. Simply because working for other people, like doing client work, is very time consuming, and it feels like you're basically still working a 9 to 5 after your 9 to 5 when you're doing freelance work. So finding the balance to make sure you do budget sheets, make sure you're paying your taxes, make sure you're keeping track of every expense, and then also having to learn what color you want to use on a project, learn who you want to cast. It just becomes jumbled. And I found a way to combine the two, even though it's extremely difficult and it involves a lot of time. But it's manageable once you find a system that works for you.
Okay. You started a creative collective named YBG that was originally out as a rap group. What happened with the rap, and why did you decide to keep the name for your film company?
I also don't remember why we switched from rap. I feel like we both were in a space where we felt that rap was just stagnant and there was no upward growth no matter how good we were. I think that's what it was. Like, we felt we were better than others. Like in film, we don't feel like well, now I do, but in the past, we didn't feel like we were better. We felt like we saw movies and we were like, oh, we can't do that yet. Like, we knew that. With rap, we felt we were doing exactly what we were seeing on TV, and it just wasn't transpiring into something that was basically tangible. So I don't feel like I can ever be perfect in film, but I feel like I was perfect in rap. I don't see a flaw. So me and Kerry decided to change from YBG to RDD because we started to, also with Taj, we started to all start creating more because we felt it was, one, fun. Two, we felt it could be lucrative, which it was at one point when we were doing clientele work. And that's why we changed.
You said we a lot. Who was in the original group, and talk about how you all met?
The original rap group or the original film group?
It started off as a rap group.
Started off as a rap. It was E City. No, it was it was E City. At one point he had his one song. It was E City. It was Jay Clancy, and it was myself and Kerry and Prime. It was Chosen, Jay Clancy, Prime, and E City. Whew, as I look back at those names.
How did you all meet?
I met Eric that's a long time ago. I met Eric in after school. Met Eric in after school. We became best friends, like lifelong best friends. I met Jay Clancy in college because some of his music sucked, and same way I approached Taj, that's how I bluntly presented it. Hey, your music's great, but your production sucks. Then we started working together. And I met Kerry I met Kerry in high school, gym class. It's where we created our bond. And then from there, it was just high school friendship. But then he left. We both went to college, connected in college when Facebook was created. And then we reconnected after college because he was posting music on Facebook. So was I. We reconnected. We made a bunch of music pretty much every weekend he stayed over. And that's how we all connected. I don't think there were a lot of times where where Kerry met with Josh, but that we were still a group. And then we just didn't want to do music anymore. So it just slowly trickled into Josh doing the music and me, Kerry, and then Taj coming in just doing film. And then that's Eric. That's the brother.
So you went from music to film, and you had to change the name. The original name was YBG. Why did you decide to change the company name from YBG to RDD?
So my perspective is we weren't going to be young forever. That was one. Two, we weren't going to be black forever. No, I'm kidding. Two, we just didn't want to brand ourselves so much like into the, yeah, I'm black. I know it. Like we know it. We wanted our work to speak for itself. We didn't want to just be put in a box with the black community. We wanted our work to be considered artwork with no color. Yes, we're proud to be black. There's no doubt about that. But we just wanted our name to be us, and we also knew we were going to get older, and we couldn't use the name because we didn't own the name. The name was owned by somebody else, and we just took it. So we wanted to create something that was original, that still had our essence, and we keep all of our stuff is really us, and it's digital because that's the format we were born in.
What are some of the difficult challenges you experienced in the process of becoming a filmmaker?
Networking. Networking is one of the most difficult challenges because you meet people, you think the people are going to be the people that help you, and sometimes they have ulterior motives, and set you back about a couple years. Scheduling things is one of the most difficult things because you have to schedule all of these people together for one common cause. Time management is always an issue because we all have 24 hours of the day, and I wake up at 5:30. I'm going to try to get it to 5, but even with me waking up at 5:30, I still feel like I don't have enough time in the day. And what else? Just getting people on your level of consistency is difficult. Like I try to motivate people. Sometimes I motivate others too hard, and realizing that everybody's different and trying to find a system that works for everybody is one of the most challenging things for me because I have motivators that are very, do it now and wake up at 6:00. And that doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me. So I try to listen to them and then find somebody that has a similar method and send those to my friends. Like I know Taj and Kerry, hate me, but they also love with that hate simply because after I scream to them, they're like, I don't want to hear it that way. But then like 3 weeks later, they'll come back and they'll say the same thing to me. And I'll be like, okay, I gotta keep it going. So those would be the challenges, I would say.
Was there ever a point in your life where you thought about quitting film, and what made you decide to say?
Absolutely. Like I feel like I'm the only person in my crew that thought about quitting, and I think they're lying. If you ask me, I think they're lying because we all have that little thought. So that moment for me was after Swipe. Surprisingly, nobody never knew that, and I saved it for this interview. So this is exclusive content. It was after Swipe. I created this project that I worked really hard on and thought that it was God's gift to Earth. And it got into 3 festivals, and that was it. I was like, that's it? Like, we spent a whole year on this project, and that's it? Like, it wasn't, I didn't understand the journey until I started researching other people's journeys. But at that moment, I was like, I want to quit. Like, I feel like I accomplished something. I can move on and I'll be happy in life. I did it. What stopped me from doing that was Carrie and Taj. I have other people that are in this journey together, and seeing them not want to quit just made me, and also I'm a Kobe fan, so I just always had to think about what would Kobe say, and what is the job done? Job's not finished. So words I live by.
How was filmmaking and your creative development during the pandemic? Was it a positive time for you or a negative time for you?
It was 100% a positive time because it gave me so much time at work to not have to work. And I took about 20 filmmaking courses, 10 lighting courses. I didn't do directing that year, but I just read every book imaginable because my room was empty and I had so much time to just focus on my craft that it felt like I was in college for film. And 2020 was important because, like I said before, I wanted to quit after Swipe. When I did that education in filmmaking, I realized I knew nothing when I looked back at Swipe. And I was like, oh, I wasn't supposed to make it with this. This is garbage. Like, I was able to tell myself that, well, it wasn't garbage because there were a lot of talented artists in Swipe. I just want to point that out. There were a lot of talented. The acting was incredible. Everything else sucked. But 2020, me and my brother, Kerry, basically he lived at my house for pretty much every week during the pandemic, and we shot something, or we thought about shooting something, or we just watched films and then shot something. And then I just had an idea and we shot something, and then he picked the monologue and we shot something. Like, you didn't see everything. You saw some of the good stuff, but there was a lot that we shot that summer as well as 2021. And it just made me a better cinematographer because I would be at work learning something. And then I call Kerry, come over tonight. We shooting this. And with no question, he'd come over and shoot. And we have a portfolio now. In 2020, the pandemic, we shot so much stuff that all of that stuff got Kerry a manager. So it really was just a very successful, sounds selfish, but it was a very successful time for us because I think that's when Taj also wrote Black is Black, because we were at a overnight boot camp at my house. Two friends were arguing, came up with the idea for Black is Black. Now that's our most popular short film, only 5 minutes. We got 3 awards from it, got accepted into 11 festivals, and that's just something that Taj wrote in 20 minutes. They remembered the lines in 30 minutes, and I shot really quickly because they did such a good job. Now, would I change some things in Black is Black? Yes. I would add some negative fill, but these are things that I learned along the way. And moving forward, I know that my stuff will have that stuff. So 2020 and 2021 pandemic was a positive time for me and RDD and my team.
What would you consider your biggest success thus far?
Besides Black is Black, being able to sustain a friendship with the people that I created a company with would be my greatest success. Because as hard as I am on people and as asshole-ish as I am on people, I feel like that was a success to find the balance to not scare some people away.
What would you consider your biggest failure thus far?
Biggest failure would be buying a bunch of equipment over the years over like $100,000 when I only needed maybe like $50,000, because that $50,000 could have went to a really nice feature. Yeah, that's the biggest failure.
What's next for Thomas Cooksey?
Acting a Fool, short film. Over the Bridge series. I want to make my brother's, Acting a Fool, I want to make my brother his first starring major, at least mid-budget, low film. I want to be able to give people opportunity other than myself. Yes, I'm selfish because I want to also use it as my calling card, but I feel we all should have some selfishness to help others. Over the Bridge, I want to make Taj's dream of his web series because his role model is Issa Rae, Donald Glover. I want to bring that to life. I want to get a directing award in some factor. We got some awards for Black is Black, but I didn't get a directing award yet. I remember we got Best Screenwriting, we got Most Impactful, and something else. Best Drama. I want to get a directing one. Mine's are semi not selfish. I want Carrie to get another major commercial and a recurring series. I want Taj in a writing room. This is all what's next for me because I'm going with them, whether they like it or not. So Taj in a writing room, I will be bringing coffee. And that's pretty much it. An ABFF. I plan on hanging out with my new friends at ABFF, chilling, networking, hopefully landing a deal. Yeah. 2023.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Directing on set, directing a 30 or hour long drama series on network or streaming service. And I'm doing that for more than enough weeks that I'm able to live my life and still do RDD projects or just acquire projects and produce them and direct them.
What words of advice would you give to future filmmakers, directors, and DPs?
Don't be like Sway and do the education. You got to do the educate now. Make sure if you want to get good at something, the 10,000 hour rule is correct. Be like Kobe, have an obsession, sacrifice. You can't go to every party, and don't look back and see that you didn't. Don't look back and see that you didn't give everything if you want something, because you'll only have yourself to blame. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So, do I get my check now or?
It's in the mail. But it got lost in the mail. Well, the person who was supposed to be putting it in the mail, they got lost. So then we don't know where they are now. So.
All right. So you'll be hearing from my lawyers. Just want you to know that.
I'm not the one responsible for it. It's nothing to do with me.
My album's also dropping, guys. So
how do we turn this off?